Hi, my name is Anna Matos. I am a LuLaRoe fashion consultant and I am so excited to share my story with you. I have been selling LuLaRoe since November of 2015, but I want to start my story a little bit earlier, back in 2014. So 2014 actually started out as a pretty good year for me. I had been training for my first marathon and I completed it in January, which was a huge deal for me. I'm not a natural runner, so finishing a marathon was a big deal. So things were going well. I have two boys. They are identical twins, Tate and Oliver. Everyone was healthy. We were doing great. I turned 37 in May. In June, my boys turned 2. That's right, 2 years. Kept them alive for 2 years. Whew. And then I started training again for my second marathon that was coming up the following January. So one Sunday in August, I go out for a long run. I was going out for 9 miles, which I come home feeling very sanctimonious, by the way, because I've run 9 miles in August. I was swimming with the boys, and as we were getting changed afterwards, that is when I found my tumor. And it was a tumor. It wasn't a lump. It was in my left breast, and it was huge. And I'm pretty sure it was because of all those years I've been complaining about how I'm not very well endowed in the chest area. My body's like, oh, really, Anna? So you want more? Here you go. We're going to grow you a new breast. So not quite what I had in mind. So that was kind of a shocker. So I spent the next couple weeks just waiting to get in, get in to see the doctor, get in for the ultrasound, for the mammogram, to see, to get all the tests taken and the final results. In the meantime, it was a pretty tough 2 weeks, I got to admit. I was crying a lot. I alternated between crying and trying to think of alternates to what this thing in my breast could be. I had some pretty good ones too. Number one, I was blaming the jogging. I mean, people say jogging's bad for you all the time. Like, well, this is proof. It's probably just a clogged sweat duct, right? And it just grew. My second theory, it was a good one. I was actually hoping it was going to be this. I thought, well, maybe I was a twin in my mom's stomach and I absorbed the body of my twin and they're going to take it out and it's going to be like teeth and hair and I might actually make the news. You never know. But alas, on August 14th, I went in for it was a big day. It was the mammogram, the ultrasound, and the biopsy all in one. And I've watched a lot of television. I've watched DR. I've watched Grey's Anatomy. I know that when you ask the tech and you say, you know what, does this look like cancer? They're supposed to say, very straight face, I can't read these results. Only a doctor can do it. Well, turns out that's not true. Because as I'm laying there getting the sonogram, I say, what do you think? Does this look like cancer? She goes, I've been doing this for 30 years, and yes, it does. I'm like, oh, wah, wah. Okay, now this is not how I pictured this going. Now I have to walk out and tell my husband I have breast cancer. But knowing was half the battle. So I was diagnosed with stage 3 triple negative breast cancer, and we had to start treatment right away because the tumor was so large. They did want to do chemotherapy first. So I started in chemo. Oh, I just want to mention that the same week I was diagnosed was also the same week that my twin boys started crawling out of their cribs and we had to convert their beds to toddler beds. It was like, thanks, universe. Someone up there is getting a good laugh out of this. So sorry, just had the home office update alert pop up, so I need to make sure I'm on that call. So I'm diagnosed. We immediately start chemo. They put the port in. I go through 4 rounds of what's called the Red Devil, and boy, was that accurate. That was tough. And, I just want to talk about some of the things that cancer takes, because everyone knows cancer takes your hair, cancer takes most of your weight. Either it gives you more weight because of steroids, or it takes weight off. In my case, it took about 20 pounds off. Cancer takes so much else from you too. Cancer took away any hopes that I had of growing old with my husband. It took away my dreams of turning 40, which I know a lot of people that's not an exciting thing, but for me, I was 37 with this triple negative breast cancer with a 30% chance of living for 5 years. I thought, if I live to be 40, I'm having the biggest party ever. It took away my hopes of seeing my kids start kindergarten and hopefully remembering who I was. I think the biggest thing that cancer took away was the security that I had with my family, because I'm the youngest of 3 girls. And I remember my sister flying down from Maine to be with me, and she said, you can't die. She goes, you can't die because I'm not me without you. And I had to tell her, well, you just might have to learn how to be. So It's not a conversation you expect to have with your sister at the age of 37. You expect to have that conversation at the age of 87 when you're both, crotchety and riding around in golf carts. So that was tough. But I was going through the chemo and it was working. That was the good part, is that it was working. We were doing scans and the tumor was shrinking. It was out of the lymph nodes. And then we do one right before Christmas. And I get a phone call from my nurse, Sandy, on December 31st in 2014. And she didn't know this, but it's my wedding anniversary. We got married on New Year's Eve, so it was my wedding anniversary. She goes, I know you're coming in next week. She goes, but I had to tell you. And she said, girl, it's gone. It was gone. So to me, that was when I felt like my life started over again. So I was like, yay, the cancer's gone. I know I don't have to do any more treatment, right? And she's like, yay. No, yes, you do. So I finished my chemo, but I am very happy to say that after they switched me from the Red Devil to a new, different drug, it was a little bit easier. So I was able to start running again. And 11 days after I was declared cancer-free, I actually finished the half marathon at Disney with my sister and my best friend by my side. This was probably the hardest earned 13 miles that I've ever done, but I'm very, very proud of myself for finishing that. So I finished the chemo. I have the mastectomy. I finish radiation. I take a month off, and then I have to decide, okay, am I going to be a stay-at-home mom, or am I going to go back to work? I had been working for about 8 years as a data analyst. Oh, I forgot to show you this. These were my boys when I was diagnosed. This is right after I was diagnosed. The boys had just turned 2, and I wanted to make sure we had family pictures with me with my old hair, and that is my amazing husband, Bobby. So I finished treatment, and I decided, you know what, I am not, some people are made to be a stay-at-home mom, great for them, not for me, because at the end of the day, if no one's murdered, that's a good day, and I thought there's only going to be so many of those days. So this mom was going back to work, found a preschool for the boys, and we got them enrolled, and everything was good. Except I noticed that, I needed something else. I used to have a side business sewing Disney running outfits, Disney-themed running outfits, and I needed a creative outlet. I needed something else. And now that I was back at work, I covered the health insurance, and I covered preschool for my boys, and I made a pretty good salary, but I'm pretty sure, if I'm rounding up, I had about $50 left out of every paycheck. And it just seemed like it just wasn't enough. I like a little bit more, I like a savings. I like having some money in case of emergency, and I wasn't able to do that. And my car at the time had 210,000 miles, and I was like, all right, one of these days, Big Blue is going to go to that parking lot in the sky. I'm going to have to get one of those minivans, and those swag wagons are not cheap. Those car payments are going to be like $400 a month, so I need something to cover that. Enter Annalisa Whiteside. Annalisa is a twin mom. She lives in the next town over. I knew she sold LuLaRoe, and I was going over her house for a completely different party. So we go through the party, I make my purchases, and I was like, okay, Annalisa, show me the LuLaRoe. I want to know what the deal is with this LuLaRoe. Keep in mind, it's August, so the leggings they're not on my radar. I didn't know, ladies. Don't hold that against me. I just didn't know. So she takes me into her Lula room, and she's like, okay, here's the dresses, here, she describes the styles. Then she closes the door and says, have fun, just try it all on, have fun. I'm out here if you need me. It was amazing. My first purchase was a Nicole dress and a Julia dress. Like I said, it was too hot for leggings. I just didn't know. Please forgive me. So I get the 2 dresses. She rings me up, and I leave, and I think, oh my gosh, she just sold me clothes, and she didn't have to go back and make them. How do I get in on that? That's pretty amazing. But I'm very analytical, and I have to, think things through. So the first thing I did was book a pop-up because I needed more LuLaRoe. I wanted to earn it for free, and I really wanted to see what was involved in it. If you are in the queue, or if you are thinking about selling LuLaRoe, you have got to book a pop-up because number 1, you get to flesh out your wardrobe a little bit, and number 2, you get to see how it operates. Have a few pop-ups, have a few different consultants come over. I mean, it's so much fun, and I loved it because my husband was there, so he got to see the setup, he got to see how it worked, he got to see that there was no presentation, that there was no ordering. The women came in, we had so much fun that day. And I think that's what really stuck with me, was how much fun it was. So when she was finished, she answered all of our questions, but I'm very analytical, as you can tell from my previous job title. And also, I felt like even though I knew this was something I wanted to do, I was not trusting my gut instinct. I mean, let's face it, I had cancer and I didn't know it. So I was not trusting my gut instinct at the time. So I put it off for a few months. I can't believe it. It took me about 2 months to make that decision. And then back when I onboarded, you're probably going to kill me if you're in the queue and you hear this, but back then, there was no queue. Like, it was kind of like you just sent your application in, LuLaRoe called you and said, hey, you want to sell LuLaRoe? And I'm like, yes, I do. And then all your stuff just shows up. Kind of how it works. One thing I was really afraid of, though, at the time, here's another thing. You're probably going to kill me when you hear this. I had an email saying that my onboarding call was going to be at Friday at 4 p.m. I had a last-minute panic attack that I wasn't going to have the time. I was going, keep in mind, back to work, you know, the boys were 2. Actually, the boys had turned 3 at that time. They were in school. I was really involved with my cancer support group. I was trying to get back into the groove of things with Bobby, because after having like a year of treatment, you know, we were just, you know, trying to get back into what our new normal was. So I was like, do I really have time to devote to this? And Annalisa works full time, so she talked me through like what she does. Bobby and I, we took, you know, we hired a babysitter. We went out, we sat down, we made an outline, and I knew exactly how, you know, how much time I had to devote. We were not afraid of the financial risk at this point. That was the easiest thing to put our minds at rest, because we saw the demand, and we knew that if worst case scenario, if I didn't want to sell anymore, I could sell my inventory and I could be finished with it. So that was the easiest thing to put to rest, was the financial decision. It was more the time, and I didn't want to get burnt out. But I knew I had to do it. And as soon as I postponed that call to Monday, I knew. I was like, I knew. I wanted to call him back and say, I was wrong. And I know you're probably hearing this and you're thinking, you could have onboarded and you put it off? I know, you guys, I'm sorry. I just didn't know. But I called back on Monday and I'm like, yeah, send me that LuLaRoe. I'm ready to do this. And so all those boxes come. And you guys know, like, all these boxes come. They hit my doorstep. I was right in the middle of a charity fundraiser for some women in my cancer support group. I actually waited like probably 5 days to open them, because I didn't have like my Lula room ready. I didn't have my rags. I didn't have my hangers, which I know you're listening to this going, you had 5 days of all those boxes sitting there and you didn't rip into them? I just didn't know. Nowadays, it barely makes it out of the UPS truck. I know better now. So anyway, my first sale was, get this, Christmas leggings. I somehow, like right after I onboarded, I was able to get into the holiday leggings sale, and I got some Christmas leggings, and I decided I'm going to sell these on Periscope. Like 15 minutes before I decided, like I literally decided that day, I'm going to sell these on Periscope tonight. And because I had these leggings, and I'm like, it is December 4th or whatever it was, and I need to get these leggings out. I'm selling them on Periscope. I'm just doing it. So I watched a video tutorial on YouTube, luckily, by my upline mentor, Lisa Laters-Jones. She interviewed Betsy Thompson, the queen of Periscope, and I got some tips, just enough to kind of get me going. So I started. It was amazing. It was a hot mess. If you watch that first one, you'll know it took us 3 tries to realize like what we were doing wrong, and people could finally chat, but we finally got it going. Bobby was holding the camera. I was selling in my kitchen with what I thought was good lighting, but it was terrible. But I sold a bunch of Christmas leggings, and because I had all this new inventory, I matched all those leggings up with tops for all my customers, and I sent them out. People were so happy. I was hooked. You guys know, that feeling you get when you make someone feel gorgeous and they get that unicorn piece that they've been wanting and they're so happy, and you just didn't know that clothes could do this, and you're connected with so many new people that you just never would have been connected for. So I was hooked. I was still working my day job. I thought, you know what, I'm going to try to hold out till the boys start pre-K, but that's my game plan, is to do this full time. But guys, it didn't even take that long. In the meantime, I was also training for my second marathon. It was actually a goofy challenge. So I ran a marathon and a half marathon back-to-back in January. There we go. And I do like to think that training for a marathon or any sort of run is a lot like your LuLaRoe business, because you hear a marathon, you hear 26.2 miles, and people say, oh my gosh, I can never run that long. everyone who's done a race knows it ain't about those last 26.2 miles, right? It's about like the 200 to 300 miles that you put in for training. So when you see people, when you see these LuLaRoe like rock stars and they're selling like $16,000 at a pop-up, just keep in mind that's their marathon. You didn't see all that training. You didn't see all those pop-ups that they did. And that's what you need to set yourself up for. You need to think of this. You need to think of an end game. Like, you know what? My 1 year anniversary, I'm going to have a party and I'm going to sell $15,000. So what do you need to do? Every single runner, we don't start with our end goal. We have our end goal in mind, and we start with a training schedule. And even on those Sundays where it's 4:30 in the morning and it's 40 degrees out and raining, and you're like, bye honey, I'm going to be home at noon after running for 6 hours. Do you think we want to do it? No. But you know what? Pop-ups are fun, but that's your training schedule. Put it out there. Every single pop-up, you're going to learn something. It's not about, you know, making the big splash pop-ups. It's about those little individual pop-ups that you do. I mean, every one is the most important one at the time, but it's all going to be cumulative. It's all about making a plan. It's all about having an end goal and working towards it. If you don't have an end goal in mind, then it's easy to meander. But I had a marathon in mind. If I wanted to finish that marathon, because I told everyone I was going to do it, then I had to follow that training schedule. So think of it that way. Give yourself some big, hairy goal. Tell everyone about it, and then set up your plan. You know, follow that plan. Even on days you don't feel like following it, you need to follow it. So I ran my marathon, and in the meantime, I had one of my customers become really interested in selling LuLaRoe. Her name was Kendra Pratt. She was one of my customers, and so I shared with her the information, and I said, okay, let me add you some groups so you can learn a little bit more about it. She goes, okay, but before you send the friend request, my hair is really short because I just finished chemo. I said, you and me both, my friend. So it was a bonding moment. Kendra started team building, and she urged me to make a video about my experience so far and put it on this little known website called YouTube. So I did. People found me on YouTube. It was not what I intended. I only made the video because I wanted to show what was helpful for me in my first couple months and what the onboarding process was like and what I needed and all that. But it was great because I'm a list girl, and people who saw my list and were attracted to the list, they're the ones that contacted me. They found me on Periscope, and they followed me on Periscope, where I'm very organized, and that was the type of people that I attracted. So it was great. So if you are thinking about team building, I would urge you to do the same thing. If you're creative, put that out there. Don't, be yourself, put yourself out there. You are going to attract the people like that on your team, and it's just so much easier. So my girls, they're my why now. I never would have been connected with them without LuLaRoe. So I have this new family now. I'm operating my business, I'm selling, and by the way, if you are building your team and sometimes you feel like you are drowning and you don't know what the heck you are doing, don't worry, that is perfectly normal. We've all been there, especially when you got like a bunch of Lula babies in the queue, they're all onboarding at the same time and you feel like you're drowning. It's okay, take a deep breath, because you know what's going to happen. All those Lula babies are going to start selling and then have their own team, and then you're going to be like, remember your mom, call me sometime. So it's going to be okay. That's what it's all about. We all go through that curve. So now I have this fantastic team of directs. I had my final large surgery, my other mastectomy and reconstruction in May, and the support from my Lula family was phenomenal. Honestly, I was so humbled by it. I felt like a rock star. Like, who gets that many flowers and that many notes and that many kind things? I mean, my customers and my girls, everyone just came up around me, and it was just so life-changing. Okay, I'm sorry, I have notes, so I'm just trying to follow my notes. I'm a note taker. So LuLaRoe has given me the chance to connect with those women. And I feel like even though my why might have started out with I might have to make a car payment on a minivan, my why now is the team. Every time I see a field report or a compensation report, and I see the bonus checks that my girls are getting, and I see the sales numbers that they're hitting, I know what that money is doing for their family. I know what this business is doing for their self-esteem and just for themselves, and I see how life-changing it is, and that's what this business is. This business is life-changing, and I also feel like this business has given me the opportunity to be something bigger than myself. Have you ever been a part of something that just makes you feel so good, and it's so much bigger than you. And I'm thinking like Habitat for Humanity, or like if you're out there and you're cleaning up the beaches and there's like hundreds of people out there, and you just look around and you think we're all in this together. We're all doing this together, and it just feels so good because you're all in this cause, and you're all just teaming together to do something amazing. That's what this is. That's what this is every single day. Every single day I feel like I wake up and I go, I am so lucky to do this. I'm just so lucky. And now I get to share that with these women. In September, I had my final surgery. In September, I also got a call from Deanne, which I might have fangirled a little bit because I had to hit coach in August. So it feels like a fairy tale come true. But I'm so lucky to be here. I'm so lucky to be on this journey with all of you. And aren't we all just so lucky? Thank you for listening to my story. I hope you got something out of it. Please feel free to contact me if you need anything at all. We're all in this together. Bye.